All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back into the multiverse. And I did take this week off. Well, sorry, last week. It's Sunday when I'm recording this of the previous week, but I did take last week off. Kind of got busy with work stuff. Was trying to figure out when to really record. Couldn't really find the time to do it. So I decided, why not wait until the end of the week, the day of rest, the seventh day, the day God took a break from creating this very awful world. but yeah, so I'm back now. I was supposed to have my friend Brad on here, but I guess that'll be next time. I think he's going through some stuff. I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm just settling into my job as a teacher right now. Not going to talk too much about that. Actually, I'm not really allowed to anyway, but even if I were allowed to, I wouldn't because I always found it weird. Like, I see on TikTok, like, teachers posting about their students and stuff and posting videos of their students, and it's like, it's just so weird to me. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like, I mean, I don't know how to explain. It's kind of like some kind of doxing situation or just putting out information out there about somebody else's kid to strangers on the internet, essentially. Like, I don't know, that's weird to me. Gives me a weird vibe. But I do like it. It is fun. I feel like, it's I'm not gonna say it's my calling in life or anything. I'm not gonna get all sentimental about it, but I feel like I really click in that avenue. Working with children, teaching, being a leader. That's kind of where I've always prospered. When I just spread my wings and cuckoo, cuckoo, start flying and stuff like what the hell am I saying, guys? I have no idea. But it is, yeah, it is quite the experience. It is quite the experience. And I think seeing that teachers don't now I see now. As a kid I was like, what's the big deal about being a teacher? Why are they all so miserable about I'm not saying I'm a miserable teacher. I'm actually not. I'm probably the least miserable teacher you will ever meet. I just see now why teaching is such a task, and I feel like that field should get a lot more credit than it does because that is not easy. That is like a workout. Anyway, I hope everybody else had a great week. Hope everyone enjoyed their week. Hope they enjoyed whatever they did this week, watching the football games, maybe watching playing some games, video games, going to class, taking tests, whatever you guys did this week. I hope you guys not only did it, but I hope you all. Sorry. Oh, whew, I had a very big gallon of water. I hope you didn't just enjoy, but I hope you excelled at it, and I hope it made you feel good. Um, so last week, or the end of this week, as I'm recording this, I saw a trailer for The Last of Us, the HBO. I think it's on HBO, right? The HBO show The Last of Us. I don't know if it's on HBO Max or just plain old HBO. But I saw the trailer for it. A couple of my friends sent me that trailer. Man, I don't know. I wasn't really feeling it. I'll be honest with you. I mean, like, you guys know I'm a big fan of The Last of Us, especially the first game. That game changed my life when I first played it, man. Like, I was obsessed with that game when it first came out. Um, Funny story about that game though. I didn't own it until the PS4 version came out because I didn't own the original Last of Us game. Actually, I borrowed it from my friend. I borrowed it from my friend, and I figured because knowing this friend, I'm like, he's only gonna let me have it for like 2 days. Usually when I was like real child, like a small boy, when me and my friends, we would exchange games. We'd have the game for like, it would be like, I guess it's like an unspoken thing where we have it for like a week or 2 weeks. But I know this guy, he's very, very, very stingy with his stuff. Um, uh, I knew he was only gonna let me have it for like 1 or 2 days, so I just beat the entire game in one sitting. The entire last one. I just sat there all night playing the game. Actually, I think he gave me the game in the afternoon, and then I just spent all day playing it, and I eventually beat it. I want to say by like probably was like 2 or 3 in the morning by the time I beat that game. And that's when I used to have a high tolerance for video games. I used to be able to beat any game you handed me. I could probably beat it in one sitting. Probably beat it in 1 or 2 sittings. Nowadays, I mean, for example, Yakuza 6 or Like a Dragon 6, as they call this series now. I don't know why they changed it to Like a Dragon. I actually don't like that. I don't, but I guess it makes sense because it's not really about the Yakuza anymore. Um, it took me a year to beat that game. And I'm not saying the game was hard or something. Like I was just trying so hard and I couldn't get past it. Now that game's easy as hell, but it took me a year because I kept stopping and starting and stopping and starting and or wait, no, that's not the order that goes. I kept starting and stopping and starting and stopping, and yeah, I don't know. It's so hard for me to just sit down and get into a game unless it's. There are some exceptions, like if it's like a Sonic game. I beat Sonic Forces in one sitting, sadly. Um, if it's like a game that I'm really, really, really into, I guess The Last of Us Part Two. I guess that applies to, and Uncharted 4. I beat both of those games pretty much in one sitting. The Last of Us Part Two, I think I beat that in 2 sittings because I just got so bored with the Abby section because I just did not care about that character or that particular side of the cast. Uncharted 4, I probably got through the game in one sitting, and then I went to school, and I came back and just beat the game from there. But I saw this trailer for The Last of Us HBO. I think I kind of got sidetracked there, but and I know I wasn't impressed. I don't know. Like the casting is so off to me. I had to figure out who the characters were. It's not like when I watched like a you know like a more a better casted show, and I can figure out who these characters are, I can figure out their defining traits. Like, oh yeah, oh my god, that's him, that's him. Last of Us, I'm like, who is that? It took me a while to figure the little girl was supposed to be Ellie. I don't know. She doesn't look anything like Ellie. She looks nothing like her. And I understand, I get it. It's like not everything has to be completely one. You can't really translate something from a video game one for one, especially a video game as realistic looking as The Last of Us. If it's like some kind of 2D animated show or something from like the 90s, you may be able to get away with it, right? Because obviously the characters designs back then were all the white characters kind of look the same. But it's like now it's like I don't know. I, I, I have. I'm not like a casting director. I'm not going to sit here and play armchair director because that's kind of disrespectful. But I feel like they definitely could have casted someone better and more in tune with the role. It's so hard for me to look at her and say, "Oh, that's Ellie." And I'm not insulting her physical appearance and so on. I'm simply basing this off of someone who is a big fan of The Last of Us and someone who has seen Ellie for the last 9 years, right, since that game came out, and it doesn't look like Ellie, it doesn't feel like Ellie. I don't know, but Pedro Pascal as Joe, man. I mean, at first I wasn't sure about that. I was like, they should have probably casted like someone like Hugh Jackman instead, but he can do it. He can do it. I like it. That's the one part of the trailer I really really liked, and I think his voice as Joel was so good. Uh, of course, I'll have to watch the show itself to give a full, opinion on his performance still. But from what I saw, I think he's going to knock it out of the park. The other casting choices, I have no idea what was going on there. I don't know. It doesn't feel like The Last of Us. The entire show does not feel like The Last of Us to me. I didn't get that vibe from the trailer. And that just might be the editing of the trailer. I don't know. It might be something else. I saw a side by side of like the clicker in the game and the clicker in the show. I think that was the clicker in the trailer. And I actually thought the one in the game looked better. Maybe I'm being too critical on this thing and I just have to see the full thing, like the full show. But from the trailer, it did not get me hyped. It wasn't something that I watched. Like I watched it once. And then I was like, oh yeah, I watched that thing like 5 hours ago. So yeah, I watched that already. And then I never watched it again. Um, I just don't think The Last of Us needs a live action adaptation. I don't think it does. The game is already realistic enough, and now they've remade the first one. It already looks like a movie. It basically is a movie that you interact with, and occasionally, you do combat, gunplay and stuff like that. But essentially, it's already is like a movie, a video game movie. So I don't know. I'm not really hyped for it. Uh, yeah, I hope it's good. Really, I really want it to succeed because maybe we can see more adaptations like that. But I just don't see the point in making something like games like Uncharted and The Last of Us as live action adaptations because they're already the closest you can get to live action adaptations without calling them live action adaptations. They already pushed the boundaries of their respective systems, video games to the brink. So whatever, we'll see how it goes. I'm not very optimistic. I'll tell you that, but I will judge it entirety, right? Not just from a trailer. So I'm not going to say, oh, it's going to suck so bad. Oh my God, this is going to be awful. Oh, Neil Cookman at it again. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to say stuff like that. That's silly. Also, that's kind of lame. But one trailer I did like that I saw recently, Knock at the Cabin, M. Night Shyamalan's newest movie. You guys know I like M. Night Shyamalan. I'm not like these people that I started watching YouTube in 2010, and all I saw were these negative videos of M. Night Shyamalan, and now that's my entire identity and personality. No. Listen, every director has their hits or misses. M. Night Shyamalan's worst movie is not nearly as bad as people make it out to be. Like, it's like his movies aren't nearly. It's like I watch, I'm like, okay, this is just okay. Like when I first watched an M. Night Shyamalan movie, because I watched a lot of reviews on YouTube, like Nostalgia Critic and stuff at that time. So I just went in thinking, oh, this guy sucks, he stinks, but I'm gonna watch it anyway. And then I watched, I'm like, this isn't that bad. This is not that bad. Like it's just mediocre. And then I watched Unbreakable, and man, that movie was great. That's probably in my top 5 all time kind of I guess superhero movies, but it's kind of an unconventional superhero movie. I'm not gonna spoil Unbreakable for you. If you haven't watched it yet, you should probably just watch it. But it's probably one of the best quote unquote superhero movies that I've ever seen. Um, if you're one of those guys who, I will warn you though that the majority of the movie is the first act. If that may, I don't know if I'm saying that right. But you know how superhero movies have that 3-act structure, right? They have the beginning, which is like the normal life of the hero, right? Then they have near the end of the first act, they kind of have the hero. That's when the hero discovers his powers or whatever, or he's called to action. Then the second act is their first adventures and stuff like that. Usually a montage or whatever. I'm kind of taking the beat from Spider-Man because that's when I think of a superhero movie. I always think of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, like how it's structured. I think that is the gold standard of structuring that style of superhero movies. So think of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Think of that first act of Peter Parker, right, and his discovering his powers and stuff like that. That is Unbreakable. That is half. So it's not going to be like your traditional superhero movie where he's fighting crime and stuff like that. This is different. This is different. This is about the character. This is about the human side. And then we don't really get into the supernatural stuff until very like pretty much the end of the movie. So just saying, if you're not into like character studies and dialogue heavy, you're all in the action and explosions and stuff, and this is not that kind of superhero movie. That's why I want to put emphasis on quote unquote superhero because it's not that kind of superhero movie. All right, enough with that. So, Knock at the Cabin, M. Night Shyamalan's new movie starring Batista. And, oh my God, I love this. I love Batista's acting in this. Batista, it's like he improves with each movie I see him in. And I've never thought Batista was a bad actor. when I first saw him act, I was like, he can do this. Like, he can do this. He has the charisma. He has the screen presence, not just his size, you know. And I might be a little bit biased because I grew up watching Batista on SmackDown and Raw and stuff like that. So, you know, obviously I grew up watching Batista, but I tried to be objective when I objective as I can be. It's still subjective, but you know what I mean. I tried to be unbiased when I watched him act the first time, and I'm like, wow, this guy needs to talk a lot more because he has a presence. And it's like with each movie, he's getting better as an actor, and I actually think he's better than Cena and The Rock as an actor. He's definitely more versatile. He definitely has more range. Uh, you know, we've seen Batista do serious. We've seen him do, you know, we've seen him play kind of jaded characters. We've seen him play comedic characters. We've seen him play, you know, the super dads. We've seen him play all those roles that the other actors can do, but better. And I definitely think he's the best wrestler turned actor out of the bunch. I'm just saying, that's just my opinion. And it's not biased because you guys know I like John Cena. I was John Cena's biggest fan growing up. But definitely think Batista's better. And I know a lot of people, well, not a lot of people. I think I just saw like a few people trying to say that, oh, that's M. Night Shyamalan movie, so the acting is bad. It's like, did you watch the trailer? The acting was great in that trailer. Batista played that character so well already. I haven't even seen the movie. I'm excited for it just because of, just off of that trailer. Just off of that trailer, I'm very excited for it. Um, I think it's going to be, oh, I don't really have any like high expectations for it. It could just be an average movie, which is what I'm expecting. But really, the hype for me is Batista. That's the hype for me is Batista. If Batista's in it, I'm just gonna see it and enjoy it. And I feel like there's more to the movie, as you can expect from an M. Night Shyamalan movie. There's always something crazy that's about to go down. Um, we saw in Glass, right? Back in 2019, Unbreakable. You know, uh, M. Night Shyamalan, he just likes to throw a curveball at you. So expect that whenever you go into one of his movies. Things are never what they seem. Although in Split's ending wasn't that shocking to me. I don't know why Split. It was more nerving than it was shocking. Like it gave me chills. Um, it gave me chills, especially that with David Dunn sitting in the. Ooh, I don't know if you guys watched Split. I'm not gonna say that. Yeah, that was about to get real spoily. But speaking of Batista, I actually read Batista's book. I spent like the last 2 days reading it. Batista Unleashed. It's his biography book. Amazing. I recommend it to anybody. Maybe even if you're not just a fan of wrestling, you know, you just want to learn about Batista or how, you know, that side of the business works or whatever. I think it's I'm not really big on reading biographies and stuff like that, you know, reading about people's lives. Because I'm not really that interested in other people's lives. But I picked this up and I just could not put it down. It was so good. I could not put it down. Just, you know, learning about Batista's tough upbringing, because a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about Batista. You know, he was handed everything and stuff like this, and he was Triple H's pet project, and he always had it made for him and stuff like that. When you read this book, it's like that's not exactly the case. This guy Batista, he grew up really poor. Like, he grew up poor. There's no other way to put it. He grew up poor. His family struggled. He didn't really have a father in his life. Um, he actually got arrested a couple times. Got into trouble with the law a lot. He stole. He had dropped out of high school. Like, the guy did not have an easy life. It was actually the opposite of easy. Even when he first broke into the wrestling business, it was the opposite of easy for him. And, you know, things sort of easily fell apart for this guy. If even just one thing deviated, if just one thing went really, really wrong for him, we would probably never know who Batista was. And it's very. I'm not gonna break down the entire book because I do want you guys to read it if you get the chance. But it's definitely one of the best I've ever read. You know, just I can relate to him a lot, especially when it comes to the school stuff. He says, he starts going on about how he regrets not taking his education as seriously. And that's how I started feeling in middle school, especially. I was like, dang. So by the end of high school, I kind of course corrected that. But man, there was a time where I just did not care about school. It was just like Batista, which kind of makes me smile to say, I was just like Batista. But yeah, there was a time I was just like Batista, skipping class, skipping school, just not going to school outright, getting in trouble, suspended. I was a problem child in school. For a lot of years, I was a problem child. And then, once I got to 11th, 12th grade, I started thinking about more about the future, like thinking about college and life after high school. And I was like, man, just let me get my act together, right? Let me get out of here. Because I only have 2 years left. Let me just get out of here. Get it done. Keep my head down. Mind my business and just get the hell out of here. And that's what I did, and I'm so proud of myself for doing that. It's not easy though. It's not easy when certain circumstances in life, and I think it is a product of the environment thing. Because if you read this book about this Batista book and you see where he grew up, it kind of makes sense that he had behavioral issues and stuff like that, and issues with school and authority and stuff like that. It kind of makes sense because he would be running from gunfire in the streets. He would be in the middle of gunfights in the streets. I mean, dead people showing up on his front yard. I mean, that's how bad it was where he lived. Being surrounded by all this violence and death and the impending fear, and it is very much a thing where you can become a product of your environment if you don't course correct it real quickly. And I'm honestly so glad he did that. And I'm so glad he got his life together. I'm so glad he found professional wrestling. Because who knows where he would have ended up without that, right? Who knows? He learned discipline and he's come a long way. That's not the story you're going to see in like the media and all that, right? It's always the negative side about these wrestlers, in the internet wrestling community, and how they like to villainize these wrestlers that are still human. And obviously in the book, he owns up to a lot of his mistakes. And one of the things he said is just resonates so good, is that sometimes, good people do bad things. And that's true. It's more often that you see good people doing bad things than bad people doing bad things, right? That's what you see more often. And man, I mean, I feel like I'm about to cry right now, but the book was so good. The book was so good, and I definitely would recommend that you guys read it. Um, Also, I don't know why I did not remember this, but when reading the book, I remember that Batista has asthma, and now it kind of makes it weird when I see people, dogging on his cardio. Because if you have asthma, you guys know, like it's really not a cardio issue when you're working out with asthma, or you're sparring and stuff with asthma. It's just your asthma. It's like if you remove that, you could probably go. You could probably just go. Just push your cardio to the limits. But the asthma kind of limits that to handicap. It really is. And obviously, I live with asthma, and I think there was a story where Batista, he used to hide inhalers under the ring. Listen, when you're an asthmatic, you need your inhaler with you all the time. And if you have to hide it under the ring, so be it. You got to hide it in your ball sack. Go ahead and do it. You need your inhaler with you at all times. At all times. It's not like a taboo thing to have an inhaler under the ring. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, what? In other news this week, I listen, I'm not getting, this is not a political statement. This is not me, delving into politics, not me kind of putting anybody on a pedestal. But I hear about this guy a lot, and I'm like, what is the big deal about this guy? What is the big deal about Jordan Peterson? Because all these people, mostly men, obviously, they go to him for advice, and they put him on this, throne of, masculinity and th- therapeutic advice and stuff like that. And I'm just thinking to myself, okay, this has to be like some kind of life changing, life altering experience. So I start watching some of his videos, and I disagree with a lot of what he says, but I agree with some of what he says. I do have a nuanced approach. I guess he's like some kind of right wing Nazi figure to some people. I don't know. Maybe I haven't watched all of his stuff. I haven't done a deep dive into him, but I did watch like some of his general videos. I didn't see anything too problematic, quote unquote. Uh, but I did see a video about anxiety that he did. He was talking about anxiety. And a lot of the stuff he was talking about was just like, I'm thinking, like, I already do all this stuff. All right, like, a lot of this is just common sense. A lot of it is just common sense. It's just something you can figure out yourself. You don't need an old Canadian man to tell you this stuff. I mean, well, maybe you do. I mean, I don't know everybody's situation, but I'm just speaking for myself that I was listening to this. I was like, yeah, this isn't really like earth shattering stuff. And I'm saying that as someone that lives with anxiety and has for the last, wow, it's been 10 years now. Yikes. That's crazy. 10 years of being an anxious prick. Life is good, baby. Life is good. And he's talking about how, you can practice, like looking people in the eye when you shake their hand and stuff like that. It's like, if this is groundbreaking to somebody, they either did not have good parenting or their father hated them. Because it's like looking someone in the eye when you shake their hand. Yes, that's common sense. You should have learned that when you were like 2 years old. Okay, that's probably a bit early for that. But like when you were in like kindergarten, you should have learned stuff. You look people in the eye, when you shake their hand, you listen to people, you ask them questions to, make it at least, make it look like you're interested in the conversation, stuff like that. It was all basic stuff he was saying. It's like, okay. But people think this guy is some kind of messiah. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think he's like an evil person. I definitely don't think he's like a messiah. I think he's kind of funny. Like the clean your room stuff. But every time I watch him, it's just like, I think of the people that like put this guy on like, he's like the second coming. It's like, it's some kind of like cracking the Da Vinci Code. It's like, I just think the problem is you didn't have a father figure in your life, and you're just discovering one on YouTube. And now you think it's like some kind of earth shattering revelation. It's a biblical event. But yeah, I mean, look, living with anxiety is not easy. Right? It's not something that you can kind of learn to fight by watching a YouTube video, watching some old Canadian guy, you know, feel sorry for you and talk about it on YouTube. It's definitely something that you have to find your own balance with. You have to find your own structure with. You have to find what works for you. And my anxiety is kind of different. It's not like, I just I get into a situation and I get a panic attack. To me, it's before I get into a situation. It's an impending kind of anxiety, right? It's like if I know I'm like, say I have a job interview coming up, right? And I'm not prepared for it, which is like all my job interviews. I never prepare for job interviews. Just in my head, I kind of run through it, but I'm getting anxious. It's like, oh my heart is pounding against my chest, like it's trying to rip out, and I'm getting sweaty and stuff like that. But on the surface, I'm just so calm, right? But inside, it's like, yeah, I'm panicking like real bad. And then when I get into the situation and I just start doing it, it's like all of that is gone. All of it is just gone. And it's like it's sort of just like it's like the building up. It's like, it's like if the idea that things could go wrong, the idea that things could go bad, that's the crux of my anxiety. Just the idea that something can go really wrong here. It's not really like I'm in the middle of a conversation, I just start having a panic attack. I mean, that's happened before, but it's not like it's always been something like, I'm not going to get into that. It's just more personal conversations, stuff like that. But there have been times when that happened before, like once or twice in my life. But I've never had like a panic attack to the point of I couldn't focus or breathe or stuff. Or see, my panic attacks, if I'm like really, really, really panicking, I kind of just explode into anger. I just kind of get angry, and I just start, going off and sometimes blacking out. Um, but definitely you have to find your own balance to living with anxiety. It's like you're battling against yourself, which is probably the worst battle you can have, is a battle against yourself and your own doubts. And thinking, I can't do this. That second voice in your head telling you that you're not capable of this, you can't do this, you can't overcome this. You can. That's the thing. You can, but you have to find that, find that balance. Find that second opinion inside of yourself. And everyone has their own bout with anxiety. Everyone that has anxiety, they have their own battle with it. They have their own methods of handling it. They have their own techniques. And you can't really hear it from anybody else before you hear it from yourself. If you don't figure it out yourself, you're never going to figure it out. It starts inside of you. It starts within you, this battle. And it is a tough battle. Believe me, I know. It is a very tough battle. And I can sit here and tell you the entire time, like, this is what you have to do, this is what you have to do. At the end of the day, it's up to you. It's your own battle, and it's your own game plan. It's your own techniques. Only you know how to come out on top. And you can come out on top. It's not a black hole. Believe me, it's not a black hole. You can't come out on top. And it seems like, living with it, it seems like every day is a battle. Every situation is a battle. I understand. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. But you can overcome it. You can you can subside it. You can shut it out. Maybe not forever, right? Maybe not forever. I feel like it doesn't go away for a lot of people, no matter how much medication and stuff you take. But you can definitely incapacitate it for a period of time. Believe me. Okay, sorry. Got a little bit sentimental there. Now I'm like Jordan Peterson. I'm starting to cry. I do have some questions. People did ask me, in fact, ask me some questions. So I'm going to answer, how many do I have? I selected 6 of them from all the questions that I got. And the first question, are you excited for Halloween Ends? Do you have any worries or any expectations? No, I'm not excited for it. I didn't like Halloween Kills, I think that was called, the last one. I didn't like it. Thought it was like, it didn't even feel like a horror movie. It didn't feel like I almost said Friday the 13th. Sorry, I'm such a Jason guy. It didn't feel like a Halloween, movie, a Michael Myers movie. It just felt like a whole lot of nothing happening. And I'm like, what is the plot of this movie? What is the point of this movie? I don't understand. What is the plot? Like, what are we doing here? What? It felt like an extended teaser to the Halloween ends. Like they needed a trilogy, right? So they only had like the beginning and the end planned out. So they were just like, wait, we need a trilogy is 3. So we do need a second movie, right, guys? We do need a second movie. Oh yeah, we need second movie, but what plot for second movie? Oh, I don't know, sir. I don't know what plot we have for second movie. Let's have Michael Myers go around do a bunch of random shit. Okay, amigo. Like, literally what the movie was. I mean, 1 minute he's, I don't know, outside of a bar or whatever, a club or something, and the next he's chasing people on the playground, and now he's fighting like firefighters, six firefighters, 6 on 1, like some Tony Jaa, Jackie Chan shit. It's like, dude, what does this have to do with Halloween? And like half the movie, the characters you care about are like in a hospital for half the movie. It's like, what? clearly, clearly, that could have been like they could have had Halloween kills. They could have had that entire movie could have been the first 2 acts of Halloween Ends. Because that would it didn't feel like there was an act at all. The movie was over. I'm like, what the heck? Okay. Like the final scene is Michael Myers. He turns into like once again he turns into Jackie Chan or Tony Jaa or like or Ip Man. He's just like taking down these hordes of people by himself. Okay. Um. Great. I was not impressed with that movie at all, so I'm definitely not hyped about this one. Like they hit it, they knocked it out of the park with the first one, the 2018 one. They knocked it right out of the park. And then this one, it's like they're like, well, we need a second film, right? So they needed a second film, but it's obvious they didn't have a plan for it. So they just made the second film the first half of the third film. So now what are they gonna do for the third film? I mean, I hope it's good, right? You know, I hope it's good. Obviously, I want more Michael Myers movies in the future. I hope it's good because we see what happens when horror franchises when they fumble once and then like everyone just gives up on them. Like you see it, Friday the 13th. I mean, is there even a Friday the 13th movie coming out at all? I don't remember. Is there a Nightmare on Elm Street movie coming out at all? And these are like the original horror franchises, man. These are the OGs of horror. And they have a few hiccups and they just disappear completely. So obviously, I don't want that to happen. Like, I want it to be a success. But at the same time, I also want the story to be good. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not excited for it. My expectations are low. My worries are, well, everything. Favorite killer to be in Dead by Daylight? I don't really play as a killer in Dead by Daylight. I played as a killer once or twice. I thought it was just boring to me. I didn't really have fun with it, being the killer. I'm a survivor exclusive player, so I don't really have a favorite killer in Dead by Daylight. Are you going to try the new Call of Duty? No. Don't really like Call of Duty. Don't play Call of Duty. Last Call of Duty I played was, wow, it was a long, long time ago. Like at the beginning of the PS4's lifespan, basically. Yeah, that was a long time ago I played Call of Duty. Not really into it. Don't really care about that stuff like that, like military war stuff and stuff like that. And I just don't care. But if the next Call of Duty is Modern Warfare 2, obviously I love the OG Modern Warfare 2, so I might actually check that one out. Who knows? I might actually play that one. Again, I don't know what the new Call of Duty is because I don't follow Call of Duty. So when you say new Call of Duty, I have no idea what you're talking about. I have not the faintest fucking idea what you're talking about when you say new Call of Duty because to me they're kind of all the same. So I don't really know. I don't follow that franchise. Number 4. Who is your favorite musical artist of all time? Wow. Obviously Michael Jackson, right? It has to be. It has to be Michael Jackson, Freddie Mercury, or Kanye West to me. And out of those 3, I've got to go with Michael Jackson. I mean, I think that's pretty self-explanatory there, right? Which story of yours did you have the most fun writing? Wow. Another good question. These are all good questions. Uh, tough one, though. Tough one, though. I mean, man. I mean, I had a lot of fun writing New Age icons, obviously, the first and the second one. Had a lot of fun writing those stories, getting to know those characters, exploring those characters, kind of introducing them to you guys, and seeing your guys' reactions to those characters. The entire process was so much fun, especially figuring out what direction we wanted to take the plot in. Because as you guys know, the original New Age Icons was kind of like a comedy. It was kind of like a very R-rated comedy. It was kind of like Deadpool in a sense. It was very R-rated. Well, more like Kick-Ass, actually. Kick-Ass 1 and 2 was more. It was very R-rated, kind of, disgusting, dark humor, very juvenile story. And then we saw that, and as we started writing that, it's like, this isn't. I mean, it's funny, but it doesn't really give us time to explore these characters, right? It doesn't give us time to, resonate with these characters. There's really no gravitas to it, and this is the introduction to these characters. So we took that entire plot down and did it from scratch, and I think the version we came up with was much better. And I think, that's the version you guys know today. So I had a lot of fun writing New Age Icons. I had a lot of fun writing, I had a lot of fun writing all my stories. So that's just the weird thing. Even my older ones, I don't know. Probably New Age Icons is definitely up there though. For the stories I've had the most fun writing. It was a lot of people were involved in that process. There was a lot of peer reviewing, and I talked to a lot of people to get that, really get that story down. And the entire process, I mean, I just remember it. Like, the entire process was like an adventure. It really was like an adventure within itself. And obviously now we're going into the third New Age Icons movie, story. And hopefully this is going to be the conclusion that you guys all wanted. Or maybe it won't be. Maybe a curveball is in the books. All right. With that cringy evil laugh. Oh. God damn it, Seiji. You are one stupid motherfucker. If somebody's never, this is the last question. If somebody's never suffered from depression before, how should they handle it? Another good question. Like I said before about anxiety, obviously. It is, living with it, me for 12 years now, 11, 12 years now, or 10 or 11 years now. I've gotten used to it, obviously, right? It's just like, it's more just like a very, 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 very prominent nuisance, which I don't really want to call a nuisance because it sounds childish. It sounds like I'm undermining it. And, I've had that depressive episodes before, and it is scary when you don't see it coming and you've never dealt with something like that before. That's very, I mean, that's horrifying. That's horrifying. It's like, I mean, and that's still an understatement when I call it horrifying. It's like, there's a je ne sais quoi, right? It's, you can't really explain something like that. And especially if it's your first bout with it, you live a normal life, and then the next minute you're like, it's just, the entire world feels like it's crashing down. Trivial moments feel like just like the end of everything, right? I mean, anything can set you off at any time. Anything can put you in a very bad mood. It doesn't matter what it is. And a lot of people, and then you have the world of people who don't really understand it. This world really still doesn't understand it. So, when you do it, they just chalk it up to, you're bipolar. Oh, you're on your period. You're having these mood swings. And it's like, you don't really understand. And, they minimalize it so much, or some people don't even believe it exists. Yes, there's a section of people, very prominent, a very loud section of people that believe depression does not even exist. Now, I'm not a proponent of, take a bunch of medications to fight depression. I think that whole thing is a scam. I think the medications actually serve more to make it worse, because then you become dependent on those medications to kind of live at that point. And I don't co-sign that. I don't agree with that. But to say that depression as a whole does not exist is wrong. There is a chemical imbalance in the brain. It's not like we have brains. Some of ours are, have an imbalance, right? Some of ours kind of work weird. That you can't invent that. You can't make that up. Like, you can't just wake up and decide, oh yeah, no, I'm depressed. It comes at you hard. It comes at you fast. And some people, when they first see it, when they first realize that they're going through that, some of them never do realize they're going through it. But some people who do, it's like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? I understand that because I've been there. And obviously your innate reaction is to fight it, right? What can I do? But it's not that simple. Once again, it's your brain working against you. It's your psyche working against you. And the world, it feels like the world is working against you when you're in that state of mind. It's hard to exist, function normally. It's hard. And a lot of people, obviously you have a lot of people, I mean, it's made harder by the world around us, right? And by, just the stigma against, being mentally, deficient. The stigma is just being the entire mental health field, the stigma against it, how it's seen as weak, it's seen as, all these misdiagnoses, all the undermining it and minimalizing it, and, just kind of trying to throw it under the rug, and, shaming people that suffer from this kind of stuff. It doesn't make it easy. It makes it real hard, because you're battling yourself, and you're also battling everything else, and all these people that don't understand, and they just like to fuck with you even more. It really gets to you, and it's hard. Um, but you're not alone. I think that's the best thing to remember. You're not alone. There's always someone out there that will listen to you. There's someone out there that will be there for you. There's someone out there that will, comfort you, and you can find a confidant. It may not be the people you want. It may be someone you haven't even met yet, but they're out there. Like, that's the number one thing to remember, is that you're not alone. And as soon as you know that, as soon as you understand that you're not alone, everything from then on is going to be a little bit better. And you know that when you live with that, depression, the little things, yes, the little things get to you, but the little things can also make the little positives can also make a big, big difference. And that's what some people need, is that little positive push and that little bit of positivity. And, sorry. But, if you are going through this and you don't really understand it, talk to somebody. Always talk to somebody. Talk to somebody that will listen. Talk to somebody that understands. Talk to somebody that's even been through it. Talk to somebody that will help you be your best self. Because everyone needs a partner. Whew. That's the last question. I think I'm gonna do 6 each time I do those kind of Q&As at the end. I'll do 6 questions. I'll pick 6 of the questions I like the most, and I will throw them in there. I'm gonna wrap this up now. I think that's gonna be it for me. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll try to have Brad on soon, hopefully. I'm not sure when that's gonna happen. I hope he's okay. Hope he's doing well. Stuff like that. I know some people sent in questions for Brad, so I'll save those for next time. When he's on here, hopefully, as I said, hopefully that will be soon. Hopefully. Thank you guys though for tuning in. Thank you guys for stopping by. As usual, I am your host, Mr. Seiji, Mr. Hitomi, whatever you want to call me. Just don't call me late for dinner. What the hell was that? And I'll see you guys next time we enter the multiverse. Verse. Also, Alan, you suck.